Good morning, welcome. You're watching NDTV Profit. You're watching the small and mid cap show. I have with me very interesting management. We have with us Mr. Ashish Rai of Aurionpro, and we're going to try and break down this business, but more importantly, they've had a new order win from State Bank of India, 100 crore rupee order. And to try and give us more perspective and details on that one, we have Mr. Rai. Welcome to the channel, sir.
Hi, Mani. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So Ashish, break this down for us. 100 crore order executed over the next 12 months and a 6-year, maintenance as well, which you will be getting. Give us the breakup. What's the kind of revenue recognition you're expecting from this over the next 12 months and then over the next 6 years?
Yeah. So look, typically, I would say half of most of the orders that we do would get done the first 12 to 14 odd months while we take the clients live, and then the rest of it progressively comes in as we enable the clients to use the solutions as we go. I mean, this one would be no different in terms of enablement overall. It's obviously a very working with SBI. It's a pretty significant win for us, and a good acknowledgement of the cutting-edge stack that we have and our ability to work with other banking clients in terms of their transformation efforts on the transaction banking side. Right? So this is not the only win we announced over the last several quarters. We've announced a number of wins in the space, and we continue to enable clients. SBI, of course, is the largest bank in India, so that's a significant win for us.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a big win, definitely. Now to try and get more perspective on the overall book, you've got around 900 crore worth of orders as of Q3 of February of 2024. This obviously adds to that. So should one say 1,000 crore order book at the moment, largely executable in the next 12 months, a majority of that, a little above 50% maybe, and the balance over the next 5 years maybe as AMC?
Yeah, so look, we actually leave out a lot of long-term AMCs from the order book. I mean, especially for clients who live with the solution for a long time. So our order book typically, I would say 70% or so, assuming we have the capacity, would be executable sort of over the next 12, 13 months. Yes, it was so at the end of the last quarter, it was 900 crores. I'm not going to give a number out on where it's going to be, but order book has been climbing up over time. As you know, the business has been also growing at 37 odd % for the last several quarters. So we've been consuming from the order book as well. So the incremental addition to the order book we will declare at the end of the quarter. Sure. But it's really strong for both sides of the banking business, for us lending as well as transaction banking.
Got your point. And this 35-37% kind of CAGR on top line, continue to expect that as your top line starts to climb. Now you're nearly at 1,000 crore trailing 12 months.
Yeah, so look, for this year, we guided 30 to 35%. For the first 9 months of the year, we've grown 37. So the business continues to execute and have strong momentum. I think we feel fairly good about delivering around the high end of the guidance. I think this sort of strengthens our ability to do that. Yeah, I mean, I would not really change any numbers on this interview, but by and large, we'll continue executing at the pace. And it's not just this year, right? I think for the last, since we pivoted to becoming a global products and platforms player 3.5, 4 years back, we've been growing at a CAGR north of 30 for a few years now. So we do expect to keep up the momentum.
Sure. So momentum to stay ahead. Now, I want to try and understand from you with regard to the revenue itself, roughly 900 to 1,000 crore. How much of this is recurring and how much of this is what you would call a one-time implementation kind of service which you are providing?
Yeah, so recurring or near recurring, right? So recurring essentially would be streams like AMCs, like the long-term managed services kind of contracts, plus the near recurring work, which is with existing clients, ongoing services, etc. It's of the order of about 60% or so of the revenues, between 55 and 60%, and the rest of it is sell and deliver in the year, right? So
Sure.
as we continue to grow at 30-35%, you'll need to continue to have a fairly large chunk of sell and deliver as we go. But over time, the recurring streams sort of they build up layer over another, right? So the business would ability to grow sort of keeps on increasing as you add more and more to the recurring streams with these new wins.
Understood. And your renewed focus on global, how does this add to your mix? Because currently you're doing 61% of your revenue mix is domestic versus 39 outside, or rather export. So how would this evolve, say, over the next 2 to 3 years as you grow at 30% on top line reasonably?
Yeah, so look, we are one of the very few sort of technology players from India who are able to go and capture global deals, whether it's on the enterprise applications side or it's wins like on the transit payment side in California and Latin America, etc. Right? So we are one of the few players who are able to export technology, who are able to export sort of banking software, transaction banking software, lending, etc. I think we will continue to get competitive. The goal is to build out a tier one global products and platforms player. Each of the business lines that we have, lending, our products are squarely, Chartis, Ristec, Leaders, Quadrant products worldwide. We are very competitive in Asia. We are expanding into Europe and US. Transit payments, we've already expanded into US, and now we're looking to expand into Europe as well. So most of our businesses will continue to get stronger. Product business tends to be, harder to break into markets, compared to, let's say, IT services or outsourcing or things like that. But, you build on your success. So we are already, so India is about 60% of the revenues, as you mentioned, and outside of India is about 40%. US for us is still less than 10%, but continues to grow strongly. So I think as we grow further, I think the global side of the business will become stronger. Last few years for us were about building out the product sets. We rebuilt the whole banking software suite across payments, transaction banking, lending, etc. We rebuilt the whole transit suite. We've launched brand new products. All of these take really hard R&D over multiple years for us to get the products out. Now that we've got refreshed cutting edge stack out in the market for most of our offerings, we expect the global side to become bigger and bigger as we go.
Sure, and that brings me to my next question very well. What's the kind of R&D spend that you're doing, as it could be a percentage of top line, and how do you account for it? Do you capitalize it? Do you recognize it as OPEX in the same year as you're incurring it? How does it work?
Yeah, great question. So Harsh, what we at the moment we are clocking between 7.5% and 8% of the top line in R&D spend. So between our sort of centers out of Singapore, Istanbul, India, and Vietnam, bulk of our product development happens between those four places. That's roughly clocking at 8%. What we are trying to do is we are, and all of it we expense out, right? So with some very minor exceptions, not in our core product lines, but elsewhere because of some regulatory related reasons. Otherwise, we just expense out, so we don't really have much capitalization on the product. And the goal for us is to keep the profitability by and large where it is, which is right now. So for this year, my guidance is between 20 and 22% of the EBITDA. So we'll try to keep in the short to medium term EBITDA around those levels and increase the R&D spend as the economics of the business improves, right? So what happens in the product business is as you scale, the economics will get better and better. And as we get that, we'll pour the excess back into the R&D bucket, right? So at the moment, it's about slightly less than 8%, but that will grow.